In-home care, living where you belong. With the right help. A growing number of older Americans are choosing to stay exactly where they are at home, not because they have no other choice, but because it's where they feel most themselves. And with the right support in place, it's possible to live not just safely, but with confidence, autonomy, and grace. In-home care doesn't mean surrendering control. It means tailoring your surroundings to meet your evolving needs. From part-time help with groceries and light cleaning to full-time assistance with mobility medication and hygiene care can be customized, flexible, and respectful. Let's look at what the evidence says. According to the Mayo Clinic and Cleveland Clinic, aging in place is associated with reduced risk of hospital-acquired infections, better emotional regulation and mental health, fewer episodes of depression and anxiety compared to institutional care, improved cognitive function thanks to familiar routines and surroundings. The routine of watering your plants, sleeping in your own bed, or sipping coffee by your favorite window, these are more than habits. They're anchors to who you are. A study published by Harvard Health found that seniors who remain in their homes with structured support experience higher life satisfaction even when mobility becomes limited. Let me share a real-world story. A patient of mine, Eleanor, age 78, began experiencing difficulty with her knees. Her daughter suggested assisted living, but Eleanor wasn't ready to give up her porch garden or morning crossword routine, so instead they set up in-home support 5 days a week. A caregiver came by to help with meals, light housekeeping, and medication reminders. Within weeks, Eleanor's anxiety declined. Her sleep improved, and she even began teaching her great niece how to bake her famous lemon cake. She didn't need to be relocated. She just needed a hand. In-home care allows you to build your safety net without tearing apart your life. It's not just practical, it's deeply personal. But this choice isn't only emotional, it can also be financially sound. Many states offer Medicaid waivers or programs for aging in place, and Medicare may cover certain skilled services if prescribed by a doctor. It's worth checking with local area agencies on aging AAAs or services like the National Council on Aging to explore benefits you may qualify for. In-home care works best when built on trust. So always vet caregivers, carefully background checks, agency certifications, references, and transparency matter. For many, this option means living not as a patient, but as a person. In control, in comfort, in your own home. And as we'll see, that core value dignity with support runs through each of the next options as well. Living with family, support, not sacrifice. For generations, families lived under one roof, parents, children, and grandparents all sharing space responsibilities and milestones. But in today's world, multi-generational living isn't about tradition. It's about purpose, connection, and support that flows both ways. Many seniors fear that moving in with family means giving up independence or becoming a burden. But when done thoughtfully, this arrangement can enrich everyone's lives, not just emotionally, but practically too. Here's what the data shows. According to the Pew Research Center, over 60 million Americans now live in multi-generational households, a number that's been steadily growing. Among older adults, this isn't about dependency. It's about staying engaged, and it works when it's structured intentionally. Healthline and Cleveland Clinic both emphasize that for seniors, daily social interaction significantly reduces the risk of depression, cognitive decline, cardiovascular stress, sleep disturbances. Meanwhile, younger family members often report increased emotional intelligence, patience, and family cohesion when older relatives are involved in the home. But for this to succeed, boundaries matter. Let's consider a story. Harold was 81 when his wife passed. He didn't want to live alone, but neither did he want to give up his autonomy. So his daughter offered him the apartment above her garage. They installed a stair lift, added a kitchenette, and gave Harold a private entrance. He joined family dinners when he felt like it, watched his grandson's baseball games, and even led Sunday morning pancake breakfast once a month. He wasn't just being taken care of, he was contributing on his own terms. The arrangement worked because expectations were clear. No surprises, no guilt trips, just mutual respect. And there's more. From a financial standpoint, shared housing can reduce overall costs for both seniors and caregivers. In some states, caregivers may even qualify for a stipend through Medicaid's cash and counseling programs or other home and community-based services (HCBS). That said, there are challenges: burnout, lack of privacy, unspoken resentment. That's why conversations before moving in are critical. What's the division of space? Who handles meals or medications? Are there emergency plans? Without clarity, love can get tangled in logistics, but with trust and planning, families can thrive together. As the Mayo Clinic puts it, seniors who feel useful and involved live longer and healthier lives. And often just knowing your laughter is part of someone else's day is enough to make it worth it. In the next section, we'll explore how staying in your own home with a few smart changes can be one of the safest and most empowering choices you ever make. Let's talk about aging in place with technology and design on your side. Aging in place, a home that grows with you. For many older adults, the idea of leaving home isn't about the move itself. It's about the fear of losing familiarity, the scent of your own kitchen, the way the sunlight hits your favorite chair, the rhythm of your routines. These aren't just habits, they're part of who you are. But what if staying in your home could be made safer, not harder, as your needs evolve? That's the promise of aging in place with smart home modifications. Let's get one thing clear. Choosing to stay at home is not about denial, it's about preparation. It's about designing a space that supports you, not the other way around. From a medical standpoint, this approach has real measurable benefits. According to the Cleveland Clinic, seniors who remain in their homes with modifications experience lower rates of hospitalization, fewer emergency room visits, greater emotional stability, improved sleep quality, and mobility confidence. Let's talk about what these changes look like in practice. Some are simple: installing grab bars in the bathroom, replacing rugs with non-slip flooring, raising toilet seats, improving lighting in hallways and staircases. Others involve modest remodeling, walk-in tubs instead of traditional bathtubs, wider doorways to accommodate mobility aids, stair lifts or single-floor living transitions. Then there's technology. Voice-activated assistants like Alexa or Google Home help with reminders, timers, and emergency calls. Automated pill dispensers ensure medications aren't missed. Smart doorbell security systems and motion sensors offer peace of mind both for the senior and the family. Linda, age 79, resisted making changes at first. After a fall in her kitchen left her with a fractured wrist, her children suggested a move to assisted living. But Linda wanted to stay, so they worked together. They installed motion-triggered lighting from the bedroom to the bathroom. Her bathtub was replaced with a walk-in shower and a seat. An emergency call button was placed near the bed. Within weeks, her confidence returned. She no longer feared moving around after dark, and she even began volunteering again at her local community center. Linda didn't feel old. She felt empowered. And that's the key. These adaptations aren't reminders of decline. They're tools of independence. As Harvard Health notes, the emotional benefits of aging in place are profound. Cognitive function is preserved longer. depression rates decrease. Seniors feel more in control of their lives because they are. Families who support these changes are sending a powerful message. We believe in you. We want you to feel safe, respected, and free. Aging in place is not the easy path. It requires planning. Sometimes upfront costs, occasionally tough conversations. But for many, it's the most meaningful decision they can make because it allows you to age with grace, surrounded by everything that still makes life feel like your own. Multi-generational living. Shared space. Shared strength. There's a quiet strength in living together, but there's also a risk when the lines between support and sacrifice begin to blur. Multi-generational living is nothing new. Across cultures and centuries, families have coexisted under one roof. Grandparents raising grandchildren, adult children helping aging parents' lives, overlapping with care and tradition. But in today's world, we need to be clear. This model only works when there are boundaries. Let's unpack that. According to the National Institute on Aging Seniors Living with Extended Family report, higher rates of emotional connection, increased feelings of safety, and reduced healthcare costs. But they also report greater stress when boundaries are not defined. Because love doesn't cancel out exhaustion, and good intentions can still lead to tension. That's why the first step in any multi-generational plan is conversation. What are your expectations? What are theirs? Who has private space? Who handles meals, chores, and finances? When these questions go unanswered, resentment quietly builds. But when they're asked early, clearly and respectfully, what's created isn't just a living arrangement, it's a shared life. Take Patricia, 83. After her husband passed, she didn't want to live alone. Her daughter invited her to move in, but they agreed on one thing from the start. This had to be her space too. Together, they transformed the basement into a full suite bedroom-bathroom kitchenette. Patricia had her own entrance, her own routine, and her own furniture. She wasn't a guest. She was home. She joined dinners when she wanted, helped with homework when asked. And in return, she got companionship, safety, and dignity. Her granddaughter began calling her the story lady because of the bedtime tales she told each evening. This wasn't a return to the past. It was a reimagining of what family could be. And it worked because boundaries weren't seen as rejection. They were seen as respect. From a medical point of view, this kind of arrangement offers distinct advantages. The Cleveland Clinic notes that seniors living with loved ones when they have autonomy show reduced cognitive decline, lower blood pressure, fewer emergency hospitalizations, improved medication adherence. But when they're overwhelmed or isolated inside someone else's household, the opposite is true. Burnout isn't just for caregivers. Seniors feel it too. That's why flexibility is key. Sometimes what works at 72 doesn't work at 82. Family members should regularly check in about space needs and feelings. Not just logistics. You are not a guest in someone else's life. You are part of the home. And when that balance is found, when you're supported but still seen, multi-generational living becomes something rare and beautiful. It becomes partnership. Up next, let's explore a path that offers privacy, connection, and peace of mind, all without giving up independence, independent senior living communities with on-demand support. Independent living communities. Freedom with a safety net. What if you could have your own space, your own schedule, your own quiet mornings, and your own cozy evenings? But just steps away, there was help only when you needed it. That's exactly what independent living communities are designed to offer. These communities bridge the gap between living completely alone and moving into a nursing facility. They're built for older adults who are largely self-sufficient but want peace of mind, opportunities for connection, and easy access to support. Let's be clear, this is not assisted living. It's not memory care. And it's certainly not institutional. Independent living is for seniors who want to retain control of their daily lives while living in a setting that is age-friendly, socially engaging, and secure. Here's what that can look like: a private apartment or a cottage fully your own. Optional meal services, you cook if you want, or join the dining hall. Social events, fitness classes, and hobby groups, join in when it suits you. Transportation, housekeeping, and concierge-style services available on call. Access to medical support or care services only if and when you need them. For many older adults, loneliness isn't just unpleasant, it's dangerous. According to Harvard Health and the National Institute on Aging, social isolation increases the risk of dementia by nearly 50%, raises blood pressure, and is associated with shorter life expectancy. And yet 1 in 3 adults over 65 in the U.S. reports feeling lonely on a regular basis. That's where independent living communities shine, because they don't just offer services, they offer companionship. Take Richard, 78. After his wife passed, he stayed in their family home for 2 years, but the silence became heavy. The holidays were harder, the days longer, so he made a change. He moved into a senior living community that had walking trails, a woodworking studio, and a weekly film club. At first, he kept to himself. Then one day, a neighbor invited him to join their chess night. That turned into movie night, then volunteering at the community garden. A year later, Richard's daughter said, "Dad, you look 5 years younger." He said, "I feel it." These environments offer more than amenities. They restore rhythm. Even more importantly, they offer choice. You can participate or not. You can dine alone or with neighbors. You can be as involved or as private as you choose. From a healthcare standpoint, the benefits are notable. Mayo Clinic reports that seniors who transition to independent living often show better medication adherence, improved mobility from regular activity, lower rates of emergency hospital visits, fewer symptoms of depression. And because you're still in control, still managing your life, it doesn't feel like being put somewhere. It feels like living just more safely, more easily, and more socially. These communities vary widely. Some focus on nature and tranquility. Others prioritize art, faith, or lifelong learning. Some are luxury. Others are affordable housing models supported by state programs or nonprofits. So no, it's not a one-size-fits-all. It's a spectrum of possibility. And for those who've spent years caring for others, building careers, or managing households, this might be the first time in a long time that life feels both full and yours again. Intergenerational living, where purpose and belonging come together. There's something powerful about walking out your front door and seeing a neighborhood that's alive. Not just quiet hallways and TV rooms, but gardens full of laughter, porches with conversations, children riding bikes, teens studying in the library, older adults offering stories, wisdom, and warmth. That's the heart of an intergenerational living community. And for many seniors, it's one of the most meaningful and energizing ways to age, not in isolation, but in real community. These aren't retirement homes tucked away from the world, they're neighborhoods, designed intentionally, built around connection, and grounded in the belief that aging doesn't mean retreating, it means belonging. So how does it work? Intergenerational living communities are home to people of all ages. Seniors, single parents, college students, working professionals, young families living side by side. Sometimes seniors are offered discounted housing in exchange for mentorship, tutoring, or community involvement. Other times, younger residents volunteer to assist older neighbors with errands, tech help, or small chores. And always, the exchange goes both ways. The younger generation brings energy. The older generation brings grounding. And together they create something rare, a place where everyone feels needed. Let's look at Margaret's story. She's 76, a retired school teacher who moved into an intergenerational community in Oregon. On Thursday, she leads a poetry circle for high school students living nearby. In return, they help her with her phone fix the Wi-Fi when it acts up and introduce her to music she never expected to enjoy. One teen even said, "She's the only person I know who really listens." And Margaret, she said, "I haven't felt this alive in 20 years. It's not charity, it's not obligation, it's mutual value." According to research published by the Harvard School of Public Health Seniors and Intergenerational Communities show, slower cognitive decline, increased physical activity, higher emotional resilience, greater life satisfaction. Meanwhile, younger residents report improved empathy, decreased anxiety, more positive attitudes toward aging, and perhaps most beautifully, mutual trust grows. Younger people stop seeing aging as decline. Older adults stop feeling invisible. The result, a shared life not separated by generation, but woven together by purpose. These communities often include shared gardens, communal kitchens, mixed-use libraries and learning centers, programming led by both elders and youth. Affordable housing integrated across age groups. They're vibrant, messy at times, real, and that's what makes them work, because they're built on what matters most: relationships. And the truth is, connection in later life isn't just comforting. It's a form of medicine. According to the Mayo Clinic, strong social ties lower the risk of stroke, heart disease, and even death from all causes. And there's no pill that can give you what a shared dinner table, a deep conversation, or a child's laughter can offer your heart. Intergenerational living is not for everyone. It requires openness, patience, a willingness to adapt. But for those who feel like they still have something to give and something to learn, this kind of living is deeply fulfilling, because it says you're still part of the world, not waiting, not fading, but contributing. Coming up next, we'll bring it all together. Let's reflect on what these living options mean and how to choose what's right for you. Final reflections. Aging with intention, not fear. Let's take a breath, because if you followed this far, you've done something incredibly powerful. You've faced the question that most people try to avoid. Where and how do I really want to grow old? It's not an easy question. It stirs up fear, grief, uncertainty. For many, the idea of ending up in a nursing home feels like surrender, a place where you're no longer in charge, where life is managed for you, not by you, where each day feels a little less like yours. But today you've seen something else. You've seen what's possible, that there are paths beyond what most people imagine, real modern choices rooted in research, compassion, and dignity. Let's look at what we've uncovered together. Staying at home with in-home care doesn't mean clinging to the past. It means building a future on your terms with a little help. Living with family doesn't mean giving up control. It can be a partnership of generations with love flowing both ways. Adapting your home with smart tools and design isn't giving in. It's choosing safety without surrendering the space that holds your memories. Multi-generational living, when done with boundaries, isn't about losing privacy. It's about gaining shared purpose, connection, and mutual respect. Independent living communities aren't about isolation, they're about autonomy with a lifeline nearby just in case. Intergenerational neighborhoods. They're not experiments, they're revolutions in how we think about aging as alive, relevant, and communal. These are not luxuries, they are life-saving, soul-giving options. And they are backed by the best of what we know from the Mayo Clinic, Harvard Health Cleveland Clinic, and countless others that emotional wellness, social connection, autonomy, and purpose are just as critical as physical health. That we age best not when we are cared for like glass, but when we are seen as whole. Let me tell you something I've seen in over 30 years as a physician working with older adults. The people who thrive into their 70s, 80s, and beyond, they aren't necessarily the ones with perfect genetics or flawless diets. They're the ones who stay curious, who ask questions, who refuse to go quietly into someone else's plan for their life, who choose over and over again to show up, even when it's hard, even when it means change. They are people like you. And if no one has told you this lately, let me say it clearly. You have options. You are not out of time. You are not a burden. And you still get to choose how the next chapter looks. So what spoke to you today? Was it the thought of staying in your home with just a bit of support to keep it safe? Was it the idea of being surrounded by people of all ages sharing meals, stories, and laughter? Or maybe it was the reminder that your value has nothing to do with how many stairs you can climb or how many pills you take. Your worth isn't measured in productivity. It's measured in presence. And right now, your presence is needed more than ever. So don't let today's video just be another piece of information. Let it be a turning point. Talk to your family. Talk to your doctor. Talk to your heart. Start planning not from fear, but from clarity, from strength, from hope. Because the goal isn't just to live longer, it's to make sure those years still feel like yours. And if this video helped you see something new, if it gave you a little peace or a little power, please share it, subscribe, like, leave a comment. Let us know what option feels right for you. What's your biggest fear? Or better yet, what's your biggest hope? Your voice matters, and we're here to listen. We'll be bringing more videos like this, real practical, compassionate guidance to help you navigate this season of life with confidence and grace. Because growing older doesn't mean growing silent. It means growing wiser and still being heard. Thanks for spending this time with us. We'll see you in the next one.